First, let's go to Egypt, where a million-strong rally is expected to take place today in the country's capital. At least 100,000 have already gathered on Cairo's main square in the latest attempt to force President Mubarak to step down. Well, so far, 300 people have reportedly been killed and over 3,000 injured since the protests began over a week ago. Well, for all the latest, we can now cross live to our correspondent, Paula Sleer, who's been covering events for us. Well, Paula, the Egyptian army promised not to use any force against protesters, and that has encouraged many to join the rally. Well, now, are there any reports of violence, and what is the military's role?
Well, as you can well imagine, the passions here on the streets of Cairo are running high. The mood is one of celebration as thousands upon thousands of people descend on Tahrir Square. They represent the cross-spectrum of Egyptian society. There are children out here. They're being hoisted up on their parents' shoulders. There are old people. There are young people. There are religious people. They're holding banners that say things like, "Hey, hey, Hosni, leave. Goodbye, Mubarak." They're showing posters depicting him as a cartoon character. Now, the earlier intention was for the protesters to make their way to the presidential palace, and as a result, the whole route has been, and it continues to be, lined with army, with soldiers, with tanks, with trucks. It does at this stage seem doubtful that the protesters will make their way there because there's simply no unifying voice, no one to really organize them and bring them together as a cohesive force. But having said that, there are no reports of violence as of yet. There are demonstrations being held at cities throughout the country, and there too we've had no reports of violence. There are small groups of pro-Mubarak demonstrators out on the streets, but they're receiving no attention, and as you can well imagine, their voices are drowned out by the thousands upon thousands who are there calling for Mubarak to leave.
Well, many see today's rally as a sign that a change of regime is a done deal and that Mohamed El-Baradei is a possible candidate for the president's post. Now, what do the locals say about this?
Well, most people here, when you ask them about Mohamed El-Baradei, actually don't know who he is. He's very much a figure who earned his reputation on the international stage. But here in Egypt, people say that he has the backing of the United States and Western powers in particular. And this does not present him in a particularly good light because they say he's been painted with the same brush that paints Mubarak. Having said that, though, the opposition parties did need somebody to bring them together, and they've chosen him, and he's done a fair deal so far of trying to bring everyone on board. He has appealed to the Muslim Brotherhood. They have given him their backing, but they have stressed that it's only temporary. Now, the opposition groups have put together a list of demands, and on those demands they address issues such as unemployment, such as the rising food prices, such as the disarray on the streets. We're not yet clear when they will in fact be able to present their demands to Mubarak, if in fact they will be able to do so, but certainly for now the opposition voices gaining momentum here in Egypt. Now, we're just hearing word that the Jordanian King Abdullah has fired his government and appointed a new prime minister. Now, this follows demonstrations in Jordan over the past few days. No doubt, as word of that filters down to demonstrators here on the streets of Cairo and other Egyptian cities, it will fuel their excitement and only add to the momentum we're witnessing today.
Speaking of the momentum, today is the biggest rally since the protests began over a week ago. Well, what's the atmosphere there like? Is this a decisive day? Is this it? Or are more demonstrations likely to follow?
Well, protesters certainly want to believe that this is it, but that does not seem to be the message coming from the Egyptian president. He has done nothing to meet their demands other than reshuffling his cabinet, appointing 3 new figures, but essentially keeping most of the ministers in the same key positions. Mubarak did say that he wanted to talk to the opposition parties. He said it through his vice president, but the opposition parties now say that the time for dialogue is over. They do not want to talk to him, and nothing short of him stepping down will be satisfactory. So what it does seem likely that is going to continue moving forward from here is that we'll see more of these demonstrations, more of these upheavals. Something has to give, but for now it's not clear that today will be the day, although demonstrators here certainly hope it will be.
All right, thank you for bringing us up to date. RT's Paula Sleer reporting on the latest from the Egyptian capital, Cairo.